Hey everyone. Ah, Hi again. It's good to be here with you. I wanted to offer a final video on this channel because my time in Sedona, where I have spent a lot of time exploring all aspects of spirituality, spiritual traditions, ancient wisdom on earth, that time is coming to a close, and I am embarking on the next phase of my journey here on earth, and I'm really excited about that. And that journey I've been on here in Sedona has been a journey of coming back into my empowerment. And so I want to describe that just very briefly, and then I want to describe what we're going to focus on in this video, in this practice together. This is a safe space, a sacred space together, where we are going to use some affirmations related to freeing ourselves from unnecessary, disempowering group dynamics, group think, cult consciousness, or religious dogma. We're at a point in our evolution on Earth where we all can recognize, experience, and embody our direct connection with Source. And historically on Earth, many cults and groups and spiritual organizations and religions have sprung up to act as a way for people to find their way back to some sense of connection with Source, because human consciousness got so separated and so fragmented. And so we've been on this journey of coming back into that wholeness. And, sometimes we can find ourselves, on a spiritual path and with all of these beautiful intentions for what we want to experience related to Source and related to divinity, and we're seeking, right? We're seeking an experience of truth. We're seeking an experience of freedom. We're seeking our soul's ultimate liberation. And sometimes on that path, we can find ourselves attached to groups or part of organizations that then start to hold us back, or have maybe instilled fear or additional separation based mental programming. And so, this journey to wholeness and freedom and liberation can be a little tricky sometimes. And 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 in the first part of my life, I was a highly empowered person. I was highly successful. I rose to high levels of leadership at a very young age without a college degree. I became a global vice president at Whole Foods Market, a Fortune 500 company, by the age of 30. I received every job promotion I ever applied for. I supported large scale innovation and transformation in that company. I bought and owned and sold 6 homes by the time I was 33. I had achieved all of the standard achievements of success that humans have attached themselves to in this world. So I just went ahead and got that done by the age of 30 and 30 by the age of 33. And in my late 20s, I started awakening. I was very closed off from the truth of my soul, my memories of my soul's existence in this universe, my memories of the mechanics of existence. I didn't have access to that for about 29 years. And so I was heavily programmed by this world, but my soul could still operate with some high levels of power, but just without the spiritual context. And so at the age of 29, I started awakening and I started remembering things fast. I started having some major supernatural experiences. I made contact with ETs. I started remembering my soul as an ET soul. I started remembering and recognizing why I had been successful in the first part of my life, why I had been able to navigate this matrix and the systems that exist in this matrix in a highly successful way. and how I was able to bypass a lot of the programming that was actually living in me. My soul was able to bypass a lot of that. However, when the time came for me to bring my full spiritual awareness online, the universe wanted me to go through a very extraordinary vision quest to have the experience of disempowerment and to have the experience of finding my way back to that level of empowerment I had once experienced just naturally in this lifetime. So when I answered the call from spirit and started going down the path of high level shamanic study and practice, when I answered the call to come to Sedona, the universe shut off my power. And so for the last 3 years, I've been on a vision quest of reclaiming that power and finding where that power was hidden. So this is like a next level example of what the universe can give us in terms of a consciousness curriculum to work with. And because of just the path my soul has been on, and because of the high level training I was going through, the universe wanted me to navigate the underworld, to develop really heightened perceptual abilities to perceive where past wounds were being activated in my system, where past karmas were starting to pop up for me to address and understand the root cause of, to transform them, to arrive at what is now a much more integrated, whole, higher state of consciousness than I was ever operating at previously. But through this process of examining past lives, doing ancestral healing work, doing a lot of service that I have not talked about publicly, that has been related to supporting the clearing of Kali Yuga era karmas on this planet. Also doing deep, reprogramming work, recognizing where my mind had been programmed for any state of limitation in this world, and then doing the reprogramming to flip that and return to a state of boundlessness, to a state of embodied divine truth and a state of full embodied empowerment. That took me to Swami Sri Kaleshwar's lineage because some of my power was in that lineage. And some of my power was with him. And some of my power was with the teachers of that lineage. And so as I found myself in that lineage, I found myself quickly questioning why. There were many reasons why I was finding myself, connecting with Swami and the wisdom and practices he has shared. And there were parts of that exploration that I questioned, and I share about that in the previous video if you haven't seen that. And so while I have such deep reverence and gratitude for his work and what he did on this planet, and I'm so grateful for the practices, I'm so grateful for those who have preserved them and shared them, I have also recognized some unhealthy dynamics in how he operated and how he also taught his student kingdom to operate. And some of you have probably recognized that too. And for those who, have maybe questioned, who am I to say these things? I'm saying them because it's my dharma and it's my responsibility as a leader to address this and to say it, to say what I've said publicly, and to share it for those who want to hear it. And so, in some of these spiritual organizations and lineages and communities that form on this planet, it becomes very easy to find ourselves in a state of disempowerment. It becomes very easy to give our power over to others. And we also have a situation on this planet where humans have developed a lot of fear. Humans have been living in fear of like everything, of God, basically, and it is it's quite a situation. And I found a lot of that, in this lineage. And I found what I talked about in the previous video as a type of consciousness entity that had been formed by this lineage. You can also think of consciousness entities as egregores. You've probably heard of like cult consciousness, groupthink. Cult consciousness operates in many different ways, and there's a lot of different cult consciousness in this world operating. It doesn't necessarily apply specifically to spirituality or religious, based organizations or groups. So I thought we would take a moment and talk just briefly about the definition of a cult and what it looks like, when a cult has formed, or when groupthink has created a situation where folks are disempowered. Because I felt that. I am a master level soul. I'm a master level soul in this galaxy, and I can operate at very high levels. I can operate in extraordinary ways, in supernatural ways. And I found myself in a situation at the beginning of connecting with Swami's lineage where I felt very disempowered, and I could feel the belief system and the consciousness entity of that lineage affecting me negatively, because my consciousness, my soul was connected to it. And it was part of my path in this lifetime to go into that lineage and to find my power, to use the knowledge and wisdom for my own personal empowerment, and to recognize, where my soul had given up power in this life. That was programmed as part of my path in this life, just like a lot of you. And while the masters and advanced souls who have walked before us can be support systems for us, they are also humans when they're here on Earth, subject to a lot of the illusions and consciousness of this collective, subject to previous eras of patterning that plays out in humans. So even master level souls are not always operating in the purest, highest state possible. And master level souls can have a varied experience of reality and how they operate, right? You can operate in really high states of consciousness, vibration, oneness with the field. You can experience, things that are just like on levels humans, would struggle to understand. And then you can also have a day that is just so human. And you can have a day where you're experiencing some negativity and you're experiencing some of the patterns of the collective showing up. And the journey of navigating that is tricky. It can be tricky even for the most advanced souls. So I want to, talk about this from that standpoint that, Swami Kaleshwar was not an infallible character. Swami Kaleshwar is not the most advanced soul to have ever walked this planet. Swami Kaleshwar is an advanced soul in this galaxy. He's awesome. He does cool things. He is loving and generous and funny, and he's my friend. And also he started a cult. And so we need to talk about that. And some of what I'm going to read here doesn't apply to everyone. It doesn't apply to, every situation in this lineage, but it is a good just grounding for us, right? To help us recognize in any situation, whether it's spiritual, business, a personal group, we have found ourselves in, whatever it is, it's good to recognize, when we have given ourselves over to a type of group think that's not necessarily empowering us in the highest way or healthy for us. So here are some just telltale kind of signs of what happens, what we experience when we've become disempowered by cult or groupthink. One is loss of individual thought. We start to maybe feel like we have to be blindly obedient to a path or a group or even a set of wisdom. We might be discouraged from questioning something, or we might be discouraged from thinking critically about aspects of what is going on or what we're being asked to do. So anytime, we find ourselves in a situation where we can't outwardly think critically or question things, or we have fear of any sort of retribution because of that, that's a sign that something is unhealthy. And fear-based control is a sign of unhealthy cult or groupthink. Oftentimes, a group that's operating in an unhealthy way will instill fear in their members, right? They'll instill fear of, certain like spiritual consequences of following a different path, or in this case, with Swami's lineage, in some ways, there's a lot of fear of negativity. There's fear of the negativity kind of, affecting us or coming at us or attacking us or whatever. There's fear of not doing things a certain way, right? If you don't do things a certain way, are you not going to get liberated? If you don't do things a certain way, are you not following the path the way Swami wanted you to? And then if you're not, what does that mean for your soul? That's a slippery slope. We need to be very, very, very awake to. Dependence on authority. So sometimes in cults or unhealthy group dynamics, the leader is the one that holds the truth, right? That they are the keepers of the wisdom, of the truth for the group. And that starts to create an emotional and a mental and sometimes material dependence on those leaders. And so when we have, created this dependence on the authority figures of whatever group, whatever, community we feel a part of or want to be a part of, we've really just given our power over. And if all members of that group or, organization are not able to contribute their truth to align on an evolved collective truth, that's a sign that we might be disempowered. Sometimes we might experience guilt or shame. We might feel that our personal choices are not in alignment with whatever state of divinity or light that the group has aligned on as what is right. And so if we start to feel like our own personal truth or path or choices are selfish or not in alignment with that group, or even made to feel sinful or impure or something like that, that can be a sign, that we've given some power over to another or to a group. Sometimes cults start to engage in an us versus them mentality rather than truly working to, embody a state of openness and curiosity and forgiveness and love for everyone and all aspects of life, all aspects of the human experience. And so, sometimes, cults or groups will convince members that those who are outside of the group or outside of the cult just don't know what's going on, or might actually be dangerous, or might, in this case, like have negativity we can't engage with, which then starts to isolate people and isolate us further into a cult or unhealthy group dynamic. And it's interesting, to think about that one too, especially within the spiritual context of groups or communities that have been about unity consciousness. If there's any us versus them or fear of the other or that sort of thing, that's an interesting sign that we're not operating in unity consciousness and that we actually are probably in a state of fear. Sometimes we might actually feel our authentic self being suppressed. We might find ourselves going along with a way of being or a way of operating or a way of fitting in that suppresses our true emotions and desires and beliefs. We feel like we have to conform. And that conformity can also, result in some really major distortions for us if we're not feeling allowed to be ourselves and be our true self and to feel our emotions, right? We are sentient beings. We are designed to feel a lot of things, even when we're in an enlightened state. It's a misnomer. It is a misnomer that you get into an enlightened state and then you're just at this pure Satchitananda all the time without emotions. You are a being. You are a sentient being. And so, if you are at all engaging the world, living in the world, moving through reality, you're gonna feel things, and that is cool and that's okay. And anytime we're taught or encouraged to suppress that, we are moving further away from our liberation. We are moving further away from source. Sometimes we lose personal boundaries. So sometimes the group might dictate major life choices, such as relationships or finances. In this case, some of you may have heard of the marriages that Swami conducted, that he facilitated and orchestrated while he was alive. Yes, we can, maybe think of that as like these karmic, situations coming to a head, being resolved through that process. Also, also, that's a little cultish. And I'm going to call it out. And I'm going to say that while there very well could have been, and I know there are, soul level contracts in place between certain students and Swami to have allowed that to happen, also that's somewhat technically, it's like a violation of free will in some ways, if you want to think about it that way. And so we're not doing that anymore. that sort of thing is off limits, in my mind, as something I don't ever want to participate in. And so when we find ourselves having any part of our life dictated by another human or group, that could be a loss of our free will. That could be a loss of our empowerment in this world as our own unique soul. We often can see emotional and psychological exhaustion when folks give themselves over to cults or groups that are operating in unhealthy ways. Sometimes there's like an unhealthy or even unspoken pressure to contribute, to conform, to spend, the personal energy. Maybe that's on seva, whatever it is, that then also results in a compounding issue of fear, guilt, shame, disempowerment. So, if we're not able to give ourselves, proper time and space to be with ourselves, to not be serving all the time, to not feel pressured, to conform in certain ways, we can actually come back to our own truth better, when we're emotionally and psychologically exhausted. We can't think clear, we can't receive our guidance as easily, so sometimes getting ourselves exhausted can be a good thing, to just help us release, but also and to get past the mind. But then also sometimes we do want to be able to think and we want to be able to like feel ourselves, and we want to be able to tune in to what are we feeling and why are we feeling it, and do we need to pay attention to that. Sometimes folks will find themselves giving over lots of time and money to cults. Sometimes there's like a pressure to give financial contributions or excessive unpaid labor, which can also be labeled as seva or service. But your service comes from your heart, not pressure from anyone else for you to give your energy and time to something. So we need to pay attention to that. I actually just completed a process I thought I would share with you as an example and as a demonstration. One thing I've been working on is my financial empowerment, and coming back into a state of feeling really empowered financially, in the ways that I used to feel in my life prior to my wild vision quest that the universe took me on. So this is a womb chakra that I drew, and this has been an ongoing process for a while, but this was like kind of a final like closure of the process, and I thought I might share it as part of this video to support your liberation and empowerment if you feel called to watch this. And so part of my intention for drawing this was to completely and fully, from any thread, any little bit of information that's still lingering in my energy field, any little belief system that's still attached to cult consciousness in this world, any cult consciousness, not just spiritual. But my intention was that I am free. I am free from any cult consciousness, any unhealthy groupthink in this world. And I call my financial power back from Swami Sri Kaleshwar and his lineage. I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for what I've received. I'm grateful for the healing that has occurred through this process. And I call my power back. Both can be true. We can be deeply grateful, and we can be, deeply reverent of these paths we find ourselves on, and we can see the good in those. We can see where we have found empowerment, and we can see where we have gained, beautiful insights and wisdom and healing for ourselves and for others. And we can also still recognize where we have stayed disempowered or where unhealthy dynamics have also existed. Both can be true. We live in a universe of paradoxes. Oftentimes, paradox is the answer. So it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to find yourself having conflicting emotions. It's okay to call out what has been unhealthy. And it's okay to also still hold that gratitude and love for it all. And I also have asked for forgiveness from Source, from Goddess, for the times I have empowered unhealthy dynamics, for the times I have given power over to groups that were disempowering others inadvertently. I've asked for forgiveness for that, because I know that's happened at times unconsciously, on my part, as I've been in the process of becoming my most conscious self. And so I think, by sharing this, my intention is that it gives you permission to feel what you need to feel, and to talk directly with Source about those feelings and about your experience, and about your empowerment, and to call that back, to reclaim it, and to know that no matter what path you walk in this world, you are supported, you are loved, you are empowered by the divine. The divine has got you. And that can just be between you and God. Like, you don't have to have anything else in between you and God. You don't have to have anything else going on. We have developed a lot of belief systems that have really held us back. Some of those also relate to beliefs of what is required to have a direct connection and direct experience of God. I also did a Kala chakra. And this one is, again, about being free from all cult consciousness in this world, which once we free ourselves from disempowering dynamics, the flow of abundance and the flow of life can really start to move us into beautiful places. And so with this Kala chakra yantra, which is about time, and in this case, I'm using it as a connection to the future and to help me and us, if you feel called to join me in this, to go forward into my most free, abundant, heavenly, healthy, fun, joyful, flowing experience of reality and future. And to know that I am sovereign in this life, to just fully claim that, again, for the record, for the divine record, that I am fully sovereign, fully empowered, fully free, fully independent, while also deeply connected and interconnected to all of life and to those who I love. And speaking of those who you love, sometimes a sign of getting in a disempowered place or giving our empowerment over to a group or cult also means we've kind of broken ties with family and friends, and we've relied on the belief systems of this cult to deliver us the connections we think are appropriate for us in this life. And so, sometimes we have to really ask ourselves some deep questions around, why have we let our loved ones go? Like, what about that? What about that dynamic is truly healthy in our lives? Have we just cut people out of our lives? Or are we working towards, some sort of collective understanding and harmony, no matter what our belief systems are, even if we have different belief systems? So we'll now go through a set of affirmations together just to reinforce new truths, to communicate out loud to the universe our freedom, and to continue to reinforce our direct connection with Source and our direct experience of embodied Source consciousness at whatever level or integrated awareness is appropriate for us in this lifetime. So we'll go through a series of affirmations now to support this process of liberation and to support us in aligning ourselves with the universal mind and not group minds that humans have created. So let's just take another breath together and just let all that be, allowing whatever feelings might be present after listening to all of that, just noticing what's there and honoring that, not running from it, but honoring it. Maybe telling your feelings they're okay here, they're safe here, and it's okay to feel them. And knowing that sometimes after we complete processes like this, we might have more feelings that come up, and that's safe too. Okay, let's begin. I reclaim my power fully and completely with love and clarity. My energy belongs to me, and I call it back from all places and people. I am sovereign, whole, and free. I trust my own inner wisdom above all external voices. My direct connection to Source is pure, strong, and unbreakable. I am free to think, feel, and believe as I choose. I release all conditioning that does not serve my highest truth. My intuition is my greatest guide, and I honor it fully. I honor my choices, my journey, and my destiny, and I accept all parts of myself. I dissolve all energetic ties that keep me bound to past influences that are out of alignment with my truth. My unique truth is valid, powerful, and sacred. I release all guilt and shame imposed upon me by others. I do not need permission to live as my authentic self. Love and wisdom flow through me directly from Source. I am my own highest authority. My energy is mine to direct, protect, and expand. I release all fears implanted by external doctrines and belief systems. My mind, body, and spirit are my own to govern. I break free from all agreements that are no longer in alignment with my soul. I am free from manipulation, control, and false teachings. Every day, I return more fully to my own divine essence. My worth is inherent, unconditional, and absolute. I listen to my own voice and honor my inner knowing. I am safe in my freedom. My boundaries are sacred, and I enforce them with confidence. No one outside of me has power over my soul. I am no longer bound by fear-based beliefs or states of limitation. I forgive myself for any past choices that were out of alignment with my soul's truth, and I embrace my new path. My heart and soul are expansive and limitless. I no longer seek external validation for my truth. I trust in my ability to discern what is right for me. I am deeply loved by the universe just as I am. I let go of all programming that has kept me small. I stand firmly in my light, and it radiates from within. My freedom is my birthright, and I claim it now. I am supported by divine love in every moment. Divine love through me dissolves all obstacles to my freedom. I choose authenticity over conformity. I am my own sacred sanctuary. I walk my own path with confidence and joy. I am no longer a prisoner of other people's expectations. I honor my own sacred connection to Source without intermediaries. I trust the unfolding of my unique spiritual journey. I embrace my individuality and divine self-expression. I am no longer afraid to question, explore, and expand. My inner truth is unshakable. I am strong, resilient, and infinitely capable. I take back all my power and embody my highest self. I release all false identities and step into my authentic being. I am a sovereign soul, free to evolve in my own way. My energy is sacred, and I wield it with wisdom and love. I am free from all beliefs that instill fear, guilt, or shame. My spirituality is mine to define, and I trust my direct connection to Source. I release all conditioning that told me I was unworthy or sinful. I do not need intermediaries to access divine wisdom. Love is my guiding force, not fear or control. I am not bound by the expectations or judgments of any religious or spiritual system. My soul is inherently free, limitless, and connected to the divine. I release all oaths, vows, and contracts that no longer align with my highest truth. I no longer seek approval from external authorities for my spiritual path. The divine speaks to me directly in my own way, and I trust this connection. I am whole, holy, and complete just as I am. I release the idea that I must suffer or sacrifice to be worthy of love. I am free from fear-based teachings, and I embrace unconditional love, and I forgive those who instilled fear-based teachings in me. I honor my divine essence beyond all human-made doctrines. I am safe questioning all human-made doctrines. I am safe releasing all human-made doctrines. I am safe just as I am. I am loved just as I am. You are safe just as you are. You are loved just as you are. And you are safe to walk whatever path lights you up and feels right to you in this world. You are safe to call back your power. You are safe to question. You are safe to write new stories for yourself. You are safe to be creative in your own way. You are safe in this world. So just taking a moment to let that settle and to just notice what you're feeling now. Knowing that sometimes, when we release and let go, and when we're in a process of calling our power back, when we have been disempowered, we feel a lot of things. We might feel anger, we might feel some rage, we might feel sadness, we might feel loss. It's normal, and it's healthy to let that out. So let that out if that occurs for you. Let that out. Don't keep it in. Don't be afraid of letting it out. And just know that the universe is holding you in grace. There is only grace. Now I'm going to get emotional. The levels of disempowerment that humans have experienced are on such a level, are just so extraordinarily disempowered that you just can't fully see it sometimes until you're starting to come out of it. And I feel that for so many people on this planet. I have felt it for myself in this process that the universe took me through, in the process of awakening, to my ET self in this world, of this process of awakening to what's going on here, and why things are the way they are, and remembering the truth of what is out there in our galaxy, and also recognizing, how, oh gosh, thank goodness for spirituality, and how some religions have advanced human consciousness, but oh gosh, spirituality and religions have also held human consciousness back in a lot of ways. It's an interesting paradox. Before we wrap up, I thought maybe I would just read this poem from Hafiz. It's called "Everything You Do is Sacred." Now is the time to know that all you do is sacred. Now is the time to understand that all your ideas of right and wrong or just a child's training wheels to be laid aside when you can finally live with veracity and love. Now is the time for the world to know that every thought and action is sacred. This is the time for you to deeply compute the impossibility that there is anything but grace. Now is the season to know that everything you do is sacred. I feel that so deeply. It hurts my soul to recognize how many humans forgot that. Humans forgot so much and gave their power over to so many different people and to so many different groups and to so many different belief systems in this world. And it's just inappropriate for that to continue. For those who have been following along this whole time, and you've, seen me doing what I've done and speaking what I've spoken, you're also probably on an advanced path in a lot of ways. You're familiar with the generator, operator, destroyer concept as the Dattatreya aspect of God, and this mechanistic way in which God creates or generates, operates, and then destroys. Swami was the generator. The teachers were the operators. I came as the destroyer. And we're doing that in the most kind, loving, gentle way possible. But it's time to evolve and to ascend and to let go of what is out of alignment with the goddess, because the goddess is about inclusivity. The goddess is about us and we, and allowing ourselves to operate in an us and a we with healthy individuality. The goddess wants us to embrace all parts of ourselves. The goddess wants us to not suppress our own truth. The goddess wants us to release fear-based beliefs. If there's one thing that is out of alignment with the goddess, it is fear. And if there's another thing that's out of alignment with the goddess, it is control, and it is a sense of rigid, linear, dogmatic thinking. And a bit of that has existed in Swami's lineage. Again, I love him dearly, and I love what he did for this world, and I'm very grateful. And I'm also here to call out, what has been unhealthy. And I have not done that, in like every way I could, and I've not shared every detail I could, because that's not necessary. And those who need this video and the previous ones are receiving it and getting out of it what is right for them. And for the rest, life will continue to unfold and evolve, and the goddess will guide us all in new directions, in directions that are right for our souls, and in directions that preserve whatever wisdom wants to be preserved, and in directions that let whatever wisdom wants to be, washed away. Because we don't need it all of the time. As I said in some previous videos, it's my understanding and opinion that, continued excessive use of the power channels is out of alignment with the goddess at this point. In special circumstances and for our, healing, of course, we can, lean into these practices. And when we get overly rigid, overly conformed, to a certain way of doing things, well, we're also starting to get a little out of the flow, a little out of alignment with how the goddess wants to move through us. So we need to find that balance, and we need to find our path that is true for our souls, and walk that fearlessly, joyfully, passionately, even if we have to face some fears through that. So I've not shared every little detail about my journey, my process. I might share more in the future if it feels appropriate, but for now, this felt appropriate. This felt like answering the call of the goddess to offer this, and to use my voice as a leader for our collective good, and for your good, and for your liberation, and for my liberation, and to allow that highest path of destiny and heaven on earth to unfold through us in whatever way is best, and in whatever way is in alignment with divine will. May divine will be done. I love you, and I'm so grateful for the time we have spent together here, and I'm grateful to experience a new state of creativity. I've been getting into art lately, and my grandmother was an artist, and so that's been a really fun part of my personal expression of empowerment and creativity, and I'm just so excited to see how that continues to develop. There are all of these ways that the goddess wants to create through us, and wants to bring her beauty and her abundance through us. We just have to get out of the way of that. We have to find what has been blocking that. And usually it's belief systems of disempowerment and fear. Fear is the disempowering, factor. So I hope this was helpful. This is intended to support us in moving forward in more beautiful ways for those who are ready, and in more free ways. So I bless that for you, and I bless a beautiful rest of your journey on earth, and you're so loved. Bye for now.